Welcome to the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. I'm your host, Lyndsay Dowd. My goal is to help train leaders and sales organizations how to manage and deliver results with empathy, compassion, and kindness. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire. Today's guest is Sam Sells, and Sam is a retired U.S. Air Force officer and combat veteran who founded Wild Mountain Capital in 2018 with his hero dad. Sam traveled globally with the U.S. Air Force Special Ops and is an international health specialist, and saw poverty and lack of safe housing while leading complex rehab and development projects worldwide. This motivated Sam to start Wild Mountain to transform neglected, unsafe, and mismanaged assets, not just into affordable housing, but into housing that is affordable. Sam, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome.
Thank you, Lyndsay. I really appreciate that. Appreciate the intro. And
it's my
I love
pleasure.
Talking to you. It's so fun. Yeah.
Anybody that's putting good out into the world is always welcome on my show. So I'm so happy that I have you today as a guest. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? I mean, I know you were obviously military, but maybe what happened before that, and then some of the lessons that brought you to the military.
Yeah. So, as a young man growing up in Oklahoma and Texas, I set really kind of three main goals. I wanted to serve God, I wanted to serve man, and I wanted to serve my country. And so those are my three targets. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I don't want to be a doctor. Spent some time in the hospitals. I'm like, this is terrible. I don't want to be here. And so, which is ironic. But after I graduated high school, I did a mission for my church. And then after that, it's like, okay, now I want to, make money and serve my fellow man. Working construction for a while. I was like, this is not working out. So let me go ahead and get up to the, join the military and then join the military. It was a firefighter at first, stationed in Germany, and the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, that was my motivating factor all along.
You've been all over the world with the military. What got you into special ops, or what was the path you took to get there?
Yeah, so I took an opportunity to deploy to Afghanistan as what do they call combat advisor. So working as a combat advisor, working directly with Afghans all over the northern region, and was very much global health, because it was all about medical logistics and medical training and building these different systems, and just seeing the lack of support from their superiors to the lower folks. Afghanistan's just a crazy, crazy place. It's so different than American culture. I mean, just so radically different.
Yeah.
And I'd spent a lot of time overseas before then, but at this point I was like, this is so bizarre. But at the end of the day, I realized that you have to align incentives. In 6 years of combat advisors working with a certain person, and never gotten him to move off the stick. What he was doing, which was super self-preservation and so forth. It dawned on me, hey, this is how you align his incentives. I brought it up to him. His incentives were aligned to where he could see where he could personally profit from helping all the people below him. And all of a sudden, it just changed basically overnight. And staffing, logistics, supplies, training systems to build new, medics and doctors, everything else just completely changed. And all of a sudden they were getting all the support that they needed, because this guy realized that this is how I can make a difference, or this is how I can make a difference in my own personal life and make more money. I have to do this. So
I love that. And that's, in my mind, what good leaders do. They show them the possibility and they say, this is what's in it for you. This is your purpose. And when you can illustrate that for someone and they can get on board that quickly, and you can see a transformation. You and I just talked the other day about culture, and I definitely want to get to that in a second. But I want to talk a little bit about Wild Mountain Capital and what you guys do, because you didn't stop in Afghanistan. You just kept doing this in other places. So share that.
Yeah, so after that great experience, I was fortunate enough to get selected from the military to go to get a master's degree in health policy. And I did an emphasis in global health because I just had grown a passion. And after that, I was able to get I did a residency or fellowship with USAID which leads all the foreign disaster responses. And I was on the medical side of that for Ebola and a lot of other things. And so just incredible opportunities to travel the world and engage with locals and negotiate things like, hey, we need to take, this land, not we take this land, but can we use this land to build a clinic for your residents and repurpose it and all this stuff. And then from there, I was kind of the perfect candidate to go into a very, very selective special operations gig where I was able to go and do this full time and just setting up, working with foreign militaries to use little tiny aircraft to move patients off the battlefield. And so it was just, same thing. You have Americans who show up and like, hey, here's a $50,000 super cool whiz bang bed you can put in your plane and use that to transport patients because that's what we use in our aircraft. And the locals are like, I can't even get that through the door of my plane.
Wow.
And I don't know how to use it and whatever. So they're going to take this $50,000 bed and put in a closet. Yeah, there's a blanket, man.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, okay, let's fix this. What do you guys have? Right.
Yeah.
And so, most Americans show up and they're like, hey, this is what we have to give you. And the response is what do you guys have? Let's help us use what you have, align incentives. And then when you're ready to progress, we can help you progress.
So it's meeting people where they are. It's seeing what they've got to work with, what skills we already have in-house, and then how can we leverage that to build something better, right?
That's it. And this man I met a long time ago from Germany, he has a saying, you like live where you stand. And I love that. He was talking about moving a piano and a bunch of people all get around and they all lift just a little bit and then you can move this giant piano, right? And so that's resonated with me. And I'm just thinking, live where you stand. So let's start out where you are and then let's go, what's the next step in your journey?
So let's talk a little bit about some of the projects that Wild Mountain Capital has undertaken, because you give back a lot. And I'd love for people to hear that.
We have certainly taken the road less traveled when it comes to commercial real estate, and the easier profits are in a different direction. I will say that up front. Absolutely. If you want the easier profits, they're different, and we're not the group for you. But what we do is we've taken or we received investor capital for a specific project, and each one of these projects has a heavy value add component where we're going to go in. It may have from one we bought last year, 245 doors, 101 of those units were down, not rentable. So a big apartment complex, almost half of it, not even available to be rented. The other half have some exterior improvements because operators love to do exterior things first. So it looks pretty. And then they do the insides where the people actually live. And, that makes sense in certain scenarios, but at the end of the day, people need someplace to live. And so we've, the past year, we've renovated 96 units, past 10 months, actually 96 units at that property. And
of the inhabitable ones?
Of the uninhabitable ones. Okay, down. From everything from just needing new cabinets to having nothing but studs inside. And we're doing the wiring and the plumbing and the blah, 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 all the way through. That many units. And what's amazing is all of a sudden we have been able to provide probably 70 of those 90 something units to the city to move in voucher residents. So Section 8 vouchers, right? So look, people say Section 8, you automatically think, oh my goodness, there's going to be broken down cars and drugs and alcohol and everything else. Like, well, no, that's not true.
No.
And that was landlords who just didn't take care of the properties or govern them well.
A lot of single parents and it's a lot of kids, and it's not that at all. So
it's a lot of single parents. Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, of course. So and this is all over the US, or this is worldwide, or where do you focus?
So we've been in, we have properties in 6 states. We're focusing more because we really need to kind of get smaller to go bigger. And because our operations will spread across these 6 different states, and we'll have 4 to 5 construction projects going on at any time at any one of these properties, where we're turning 3 units a week is kind of our goal. And we've learned that that's just really stretched us pretty thin, and we need to kind of consolidate a bit and build so that we can go out and do more. And the way we're doing that is by focusing on Fort Worth. And I have this concept that's been just in my mind for a long time, that if you're going to change a slum, you don't go in there and do one house at a time or one apartment at a time. You can't do it that way. You have to buy the whole thing and then partner with people to improve it. And that's one of my big goals, is to go like to Cleveland or Cincinnati and buy one of these huge slums and just say, okay, all of you folks that live in here, for first off, there's governance rules, right? You can't break the law. You can't attack your neighbors. We got to be safe, right? We got to treat each other with respect and kindness as much as possible. But we're all humans, get it, but can't shoot each other. That's bad.
Well, and you've got to get the community to rally around it too, right? I mean, you're an unknown entity. You're coming in. What are you going to do? Who are you? What do you know about us? I imagine you have to deal with that too.
Yeah. And so that's it. So we have to come in and people say, oh, you're iron fist. And, look, when we come in, people are going to get evicted. It's going to happen. Why are they going to get evicted? Because they will make no effort to improve. They will make no effort to be safe. Yeah. Kids live in our communities. Our kids have got to be able to go and play on the playground, and moms have to feel like they can be there without getting assaulted. Okay. Period. We can't have it. And so those folks leave. They're the first to go out the door. Sorry. It's the way life is.
If it's not safe, they got to go. I mean, any parent knows that. Yeah.
So we're going to do that. Rents are going to increase. All right. One, because the cost of us buying the property is just significant. Two, because this is operating within a capitalistic paradigm, we need to generate profits so that we can sustain this. If it's just a nonprofit that makes no money, it's a dying breed, right? And when the benefactors no longer have money to provide, then it's done. Yeah. And we want this to be sustainable. We want it to be repeatable. We want others to follow the same process and program. And so you come in and you provide ownership to the residents. So if we have a mobile home community, they can gain ownership of the units. If you're going to buy a slum, they could buy their own house and have an owner finance for you at reasonable terms, not shark terms, but reasonable terms. There's lots of different ways to do this, but an apartment complex, they have ownership in the sense that, hey, you're responsible for keeping this community clean. You're responsible for ensuring that everybody is safe. You're responsible for abiding by the rules and regulations. And if you cannot pay the rent because you're a voucher resident or you're a whatever, guess what? We have a laundry list of people that we already work with, whether it's Samaritans, or Good Samaritans, women in crisis, all the numerous different church-led groups out there. Then there's the city, the state, housing departments, HUD, federal, all these different COVID relief programs, all these different programs. And we are we'll love to get you connected with them so that they can help you. We work with charities and so forth, but you have to pay rent. There's no reason why you can't pay rent.
Yeah. So why would an investor want to get into this? Because I think there's so many games out there, right? There's NFTs, there's crypto, there's a million places to put your money. Why this?
Why this? Well, one, we like to say is clean money. All right.
Not many people can say that, Sam. So you're already ahead of the game. But go ahead.
Yeah. If you go buy crypto, where did that crypto coin come from? Lots and lots of these huge drug cartels mine crypto, right? They mine the crypto and they sell it. So did you buy a crypto coin that came from a drug cartel who used the money from that to go kill a family that they had disagreed with, that wanted to take their house? Or because the mom or dad said drugs are bad to their kids, and they're like, no, you're dead, right? So did you just support that? You don't know. There's no way to know. It's not your fault, Lyndsay. It's not my fault. It's the way the system is set up. And maybe it's our fault for not demanding better, but we're demanding now that it's got to be clean money. So I want to know where my money's going, how it's being used, and what good is coming out of it. And so that's what we're providing is you invest with Wellman Capital or call me and I'm happy to give a recommendation of, hey, in your area, I know this person, or we'll go find somebody who you can trust to invest with. And that money's going to go do some good. It's going to improve housing. It's going to improve retail space. It's going to support small businesses, et cetera, et cetera. There's ways that we can invest that makes a difference in the world. We don't have to buy stuff that doesn't do any good.
I love that. And I really do believe there is a posse of people in the world that are putting out good, that are trying to move the needle, trying to provide better environments, whether it's housing or it's your work culture, which, you know, we talk about a lot. So yeah, I love that you're doing that. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about your hero dad. Why is he a hero to you?
Oh, you know, my dad grew up in a very abusive home. His parents split. His older brother died in a very terrible manner in the house when my dad was young, and he remembers that. He just, like, stories of his mom taking 2x4s and hitting him with it, and all kinds of, I mean, just crazy stories, right? And you know, it's like in the military, there's people who get beat down verbally or whatever, and as soon as they get a little bit of rank and they repeat that, you know, well, I was beat as a kid, so now I'm going to beat you as a kid, because that's how we work, right? And my dad is a hero because he changed. He broke the cycle himself.
Yeah,
he stopped that cycle. And super poor, always, you know, looking for, you know, the next big thing where he could make money and do well, provide for his family. But I just remember as a kid, like, he would skip lunches so he could save money to buy grapes or fruit for us kids, because we really like grapes. So it was a big treat. And so I wonder why my dad was so skinny back then, and now I know. The sacrifices that he did for us were just incredible. And we grew up in a very poor home, but we loved our childhood, you know, because we would play, you know, we did stuff.
He sounds amazing, and I totally get why he's your hero. So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So going back to the military, I just want to talk a little bit about leadership, because obviously when people think of the military, there's a hierarchy, and that's an easy to follow. This is the guy in charge. You follow the orders, you execute and move on. But there has to be some kind of inspiration amongst the leadership. And while I think most people would think, no, you just follow the orders. Talk a little bit about your perspective on that, because I know you have one.
Yeah, absolutely. Military has fantastic leadership programs in most places, except for in the medical corps, because it's like, you're a doctor, you're in charge. And like, I don't want to be in charge of anything. Well, you can't go up in rank unless you're in charge. Like, well, crap, okay. You guys go do whatever you want, and then the system breaks, right? So outside of healthcare, let's just carve that one out for a second. Or perhaps the JAG Corps or some of these other professional corps. If you focus on the regular systems, you come in as a young lieutenant when you're an officer, and you're maybe given a bunch of troops, and now you're in charge of their lives. And the first thing people do when they get power typically is, I'm the boss, I make the decision, you're going to live with it, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, and that's, is terrible in a lot of ways, but the learning process of a leader getting, if they have a good boss that they're coming back to, and the boss is like, why in the world did you do that to your troops? Don't be stupid, Sam. You know, oh, okay, you know, and look what happened because of them. They couldn't go home for Christmas, or they couldn't this, or now he misses the birth of his child because you're an idiot. And those things have repercussions, right? And so that, as a young leader, you're constantly getting feedback saying that you could do things better, and leaders learn, and some military folks become incredibly good servant leaders because they had, you know, senior servant leaders who said, you know, Sam, I love you. I think you're fantastic, but you're really terrible at this. So let's get this figured out because I want you to grow, and you have the potential. So they help me catch the vision, and then I understand, and I can help other people catch the vision.
But I love that, because I think there's a misconception that people think the military is leaders, orders, execution, and there's little humanity in all of that. But as you just illustrated, you have to remember the people. You have to remember those moments, and you have to know who your people are in order to get the best out of them. And that's the same in business. So I love that you explain that. And I think it's such an epiphany for folks to hear that, because I think so many people that have not been in leadership positions, they're only the kind of leader they've seen. And you can't be a great leader if you've never had a great leader. And, if you've not had any training and you're just put in the position, I know in sales, very often the wrong people get promoted. And it's the top performers who don't care about other people. They only care about their own pockets. So it's nice to hear. It's refreshing for me, and it's validating that there's really some humanity out there, and it's necessary if you're going to do a good job.
That's it. And I learned this from my dad. It's like, your best performers are the ones you should not hire as your leaders, because they're not thinking about leadership. They're out there trying to close deals, right? Or complete the task. Your best leaders are probably your mid performers, sometimes maybe even your lowest performers, because they're far more concerned about the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and so like if
you're not asking what their aspirations are and what they want to do. I mean, there's a lot of people that think they want to be a manager because that's the ladder they're supposed to climb. And they're not entirely sure that that's the path they should be on, but they were told that this is what you do. And if you're a good leader, you stop and you ask them why. What's in it for you if you're a manager? Why is that impactful for you? How is that going to help you on your career journey? And I used to manage a woman who she was a total rock star, but she absolutely knew she should not be a leader. And we both understood it very clearly. And anytime higher management would be like, I think it might be time we could stop right now. That is not the person we're promoting. She needs to stay right where she is. She can teach a class. She can coach people. There's all kinds of things we can do with her, but don't make her a leader.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And military gets this wrong bad. So the Air Force really, really bad in the pilot world. So if you're not going to promote, then we're going to get rid of you as a pilot. You need to go be something else so you can get on a different trajectory. And so the Air Force every year is getting rid of their best, highest skilled pilots who all they want to do is fly. And then they get rid of them and push them out of the Air Force. They push them into other roles, to work as staff jobs because they're pilots. They should understand what the Air Force is. What a huge mistake. And they're trying to solve it by giving them bonuses. And the guys are like, it's not about money.
No,
it's about my life. I love to fly planes.
Yeah.
Why in the world are you making me go sit and do admin? I don't want to do admin. I want to fly planes. That was
probably their childhood dream, to do that, and then to have somebody kind of crap all over it and be like, you don't want to manage people, you don't want to push paper, you don't want to do administration, you're out. That's really
sad. You're out. Who cares that you're the number one pilot in the world right now? That's not important to us. What's important to us is that you do admin so you can go up in your trajectory. And I'm just like, you guys.
Waste of talent.
Waste of talent. And then you hear them say, oh, yeah.
Let's talk about my other favorite topic, culture. Because I know, obviously there's a pretty well understood culture within the military, but I think there's some nuances people don't understand. And certainly culture in your company, I'd love to hear your perspective on things that really work and reasons why. That would be great for you to share.
Yeah, certainly nuances. There's nuances, and then there's nuances, and then it just goes down the line. So culture can take place between myself and one other person. We may have a certain way that we talk to each other. It may be different than how I talk to other people and so forth. And it's not because we're two-faced or anything else like that. It's just, we're just humans. And that's the relationship we started. So within my company, we've been blessed to just really have, we've had good people come in. We've had folks who have not fit with the culture, and those folks have gone on, sometimes a little prodding from us. Hey, I think you'd be better over here. But overall, we've been able to hire people who, by all intents and reasons, should not be working for us because they are so good. They are so skilled. Their background is so incredible, but they love the culture. They're like, yeah, Sam, I took a pay cut to come work with you, but I love working with you guys. This is so interesting, so fun. And because they're empowered and I listen to them and they're like, okay, you're right. Let's do it that way. I was totally wrong. Forget what I said. Just stripe that. You're right. Let's follow that. Yeah. And, if you can't get that good feedback, then you get quiet quitting and all this other nonsense.
Yeah, it's true. And having your your finger on the pulse of how your people feel is so critical to your success. And if you're not doing those check-ins and you're not spending the time with them to like just ask how they're doing, you're missing it. And I just talked to a buddy this week, and he was saying he got called out by one of his people. He's like, you know, we preach rest is so important. I haven't rested in weeks. And he was like, oh my God, take a few days off. And we gotta work on this. But he created an environment where it was okay for his people to tell him, and it was okay for them to be like, I'm gonna call you out because you're not practicing what we preach. And I just thought he's doing it right, because any leader, first of all, has to be willing to take feedback. And if you can create that environment and understand that you're getting feedback, it's not because people dislike you and you can't feel insecure about it. It's to make people better. And I just, that's so important. And I think you really get that.
It is so important. You have to have that feedback loop. It's got to be able to get closed. And if someone on your team is not willing to take feedback, this because they're super prideful. We don't like saying that, but that's what it is. It's lack of humility. They're not teachable. You know, do they fit? You know, can you grow with that person? It's a good question.
Yeah. All right. So let's change gears for a second. What inspires you, Sam?
People like you, Lyndsay, other people out there who are
good answer. No.
It's, you know, the more, so I have a problem. I trust people. I tend to trust people, what they tell me they're going to do. I tend to trust that. Most of the time it's worked out really well. Every once in a while it works out terrible. But what I have been so inspired is that people are really trying to do good. They're really willing to be humans and get up. And despite what the media says that humans are animals and prey on other people and everyone's, you know, this some kind of pig, except for whatever group, of course, is watching that news channel. I think, you know, yeah, that's not true. It's not true at all.
No.
Right. It's great fodder for making money selling news, but in reality, people are generally trying to do good. And when I worked in DC, I was blown away by the expertise, the ability of people, and the desire to do good in the world, to make a difference, to change and improve. And all I'd ever grown up around was people hated DC because it was full of liars and cheats and everything else. And I just didn't see that.
Yeah.
Are they there? Yeah, absolutely. But you know, people are better than we can.
You have a clear heart and you want to see the best in people. So when you come across people that are snakes and thieves, it's tough and it hurts. So I can totally relate to that, but I applaud you for continuing to put good out in the world. It's not easy to do, and you're doing really, really important work. So tell me, what would you like your legacy to be?
I think my legacy, if no one remembers Sam Sells, I'm fine. What I want people to remember is that you can do good and you can do so in a sustainable way. You don't need me to tell you that or show you how to do that. You can figure it out yourself. I'm happy to show and help, but we can make a difference, and everyone should try, right? And so if other people are inspired by that and they forget all about me, I'm fine. But if they're going out there and doing something better because I helped, wonderful. That's my legacy.
Well, I think you are well on your way to establishing that legacy, my friend. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you on behalf of me and all of the listeners for your service. And I wore camo in your honor.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Sam, how do people find you?
Please reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Clean Money Sam. I'm 42 years old, so I'm just learning all this social media stuff, even though I should have learned it a long time ago. In the military special operations, that's all bad, taboo. We don't touch any of that stuff. Right, because it's, you know, the enemy could find us and all this stuff. So now getting into learning all that and becoming more present to try and share that message. Clean Money Sam, Samuel Sells on LinkedIn, and then Facebook, or reach out to me, sam@wildmountaincapital.com, or go to our website, wildmountaincapital.com, and yeah, send us a note.
That's awesome. Well, Sam, you're doing beautiful work. I'm so grateful that you're putting good out into the world. I think it's so important, and all of those families that you're affecting, you're making a huge difference. So bravo. Everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you so much, Lyndsay.
Thanks for listening to Heartbeat for Hire. If you like what you hear, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. To keep the conversation going, you can find me on Insta or at LinkedIn at Lyndsay Dowd, H4H, or you can reach me at my website, heartbeatforhire.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day.